Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. As you can see, Pebbles sat here waiting for me to sit. She knows what's going on. I think she is used to these Q&As where I sit a while, and she of course loves my lap, so I'm sure we'll be like this for a good hour or so. But today I'm filming a Q&A as mentioned, and these questions are from the previous 5 videos I think. MB got the questions together for me. So let's get right into it. I do have a few things I want to mention, but I think some of the questions will kind of get me on that track, so we'll see. I'll jump in here with a quick voiceover as I'm editing, but unfortunately as I'm in the video answering the first few questions, everything is blurry. So no, it's not your eyes not seeing right, it's actually the camera not working, not sure what's up with it. Maybe it's time to invest in a new one, but excuse the blurriness, I apologize for it. So the first questions are from the last month's Q&A video. Sarah is saying, can you share your SUET recipe? I want to try to make some for our feathered friends. And then she later replied and said, oops, never mind. I scrolled back and found it in your homemade ways to save money video. Excited to give it a try. I thought when I saw this, I'll definitely put the SUET recipe down below in the description box for those of you that haven't used it or found it. I realized she found it, but it's such a good time of the year to feed your birds suet, or around here it is, like we're getting all of these newcomers, and I'll share that recipe down below in the description box. Morning Flower Bee says, how do you keep your furniture white with boys and husband? I do get a lot of questions about that, and I don't really have many issues with it. I appreciate that. Like, I feel my guys are kind of used to, they usually take their shoes off, not always, but and they try not to, sit on furniture if they're, greasy or anything like that. They probably change down in the basement already, which I'm thankful for, but I imagine, if people wouldn't do that, you would definitely have some issues with having, white furniture. Ruby Sanchez says, do you have any pictures of yourself when you were a child? Now I'm curious to know what you looked like as a little girl. I do. I attended, public school, so of course they took school pictures, so I could probably dig out a picture, maybe a kindergarten one if I can find it. I probably have to scan it and, throw it on here for you, so it might not be the best quality, but you might be able to see what I looked like with my little black cap that I used to wear as an Amish girl. And like I often do in my Q&As, I'll address the bottom comments, and if you're familiar with YouTube, you know that the negative ones are often on the bottom, but sometimes I like to see what people say in that regard. Sometimes it's not, like I like to look at it as constructive criticism, but sometimes it's not even that. And sometimes they're not negative at all, like this one. Aileen Jackson says, hi Mary, I noticed you don't wear a wedding ring. Okay, so back again. Pebbles wanted out, so she's off my lap for now. I was on the question, Aileen Jackson asking about a wedding ring. So of course, as many of you know, I grew up Amish, so of course I didn't wear any jewelry, growing up or any time in my life really. And if you're familiar with this community, you're going to see a lot of that, like even among the Mennonites, they won't, be wearing wedding rings. Now the church we attend, most of the people actually do, but so I guess for us it's more of a just a thing that we don't really get around to it. I know it probably seems far out to a lot of you, that would be really important, and I understand that. And in fact, sometimes when we travel, this may seem silly, but sometimes we'll actually wear some. So we have rings, but we just don't really wear them, I guess. And often my thing is, like, I have my hands in paint and in water, like, all the time, and I just feel like it would be a bother to me. I know, again, probably sounds silly, I'd get used to it, I'm sure, but who knows, maybe someday we will, like, all the time. But I guess the reason that we do when we travel is sometimes I am aware of that, like if we're all sitting somewhere, maybe in a restaurant, and we have the boys with us, and obviously you can see this is a family. I just think it probably seems weird to people then to see that, oh, they aren't married, and they have these kids, and I just don't want to, portray that picture either, really, for us. But so I don't know, does that make sense at all or not? And that concludes the questions for that video, the Q&A video. So moving on to the furniture transfer was the next one. Christine McComb says, I love how the pieces turned out. Thank you. Are you going to put some kind of sealer on over the transfers to protect them? I thought about that. I feel like you probably could. Like, it just seems those transfers really stick well to the furniture. Like, I don't think it would pull up or anything if you were to seal them. I wonder what you guys think. Like, have you ever used those? And, is there a need to seal them? I, again, just felt like they really stuck hard. I don't think you'd really have to, but it might, give it a nice sheen if you were, to seal them. So no, I didn't, to answer your question, but I imagine you probably could. Vicky Pierce is asking, how do you paint in the house and never get any paint on you or the house? When I paint, I get as much on me as the item I'm painting. What is your secret? I actually get asked that a lot, and I really don't know what to say. Like, it's probably just from, well, first of all, I do get paint on myself every now and then, like nothing major maybe, but that's not to say that it couldn't happen. But I think with just years and years of painting, you kind of get used to just know how to hold your brush, that it doesn't drip, on the floor, or and it does sometimes do that. Like, I usually, try to wipe it up right away. And the paint I use is usually, actually all the time, water-based, so it's easy to clean up. And I always feel like I'll probably jinx it, as I'm saying this. Next time I open a can of paint, I'll probably dump it all over the place. Who knows, it could happen. Gina A says, I need some advice about painting a shaker-style console table. My house is a mixture of traditional and farmhouse. The piece is a maroon color now and is located in an area that is more in the farmhouse style. Yeah, I can see where that would look more traditional, probably. Not sure I'm into the white. Any suggestions? If you want to paint the piece, I'd probably go with like a neutral, maybe gray, or I know even some greens kind of look good. Like, I kind of like to see it, but I often don't dare do it in my own house. I'm just afraid I'll get tired of it then. But I feel you can kind of mix that in, and I think it would go with both of your styles. But I think, yeah, nice neutral black or gray, or even an off-white if you don't want to do like a total white. I may not be the right person to ask that, because I do, paint a lot of my items white. But the other thing you could try is taking the stain off, like that reddish kind of cherry stain. There's ways, of course, to strip that, which usually involves a lot of work, but that may bring out a nice color, from underneath. Melissa Watkins says, I'm just wondering, is this the video your son was working on editing? If so, he done a wonderful job. Well, thanks. I'll pass that on to him. He did do a lot of the editing in that video, and I, of course, have to go over everything and, tweak some things here and there, but I think we kind of helped each other with that one. But it's just a learning thing. Like, he's doing really well with it. Honestly, he hasn't had a lot of time. Like, he's still in school, and they have lots of testing and stuff going on, so he doesn't really have the time right now to, do it. But we're hopeful that maybe this summer he can actually, work at home and help me with editing, and then help us out in the shop too. But so far he really seems to take an interest, which is awesome. I think if somebody has the interest, it'll be easier for him. And I keep telling him he can't have any like dead spots in the video. I think that's so important, because if I watch a video, I don't want to just be watching and nothing's really happening. Like, I get impatient quickly, and I'm even afraid sometimes I kind of have I'm just doing the same thing in my videos. Like, I don't want to make them too boring or long in that way, but I think the fast forward usually helps. But yeah, he is doing a good job, and I'm really crossing my fingers he'll keep being interested in it, and it'll definitely help me out a lot. So DH is saying, whatever happened to that new series where you redid a room for $100? I think you did a dining room, or was that just a one and done video? That was a fun one. It was definitely a lot of fun. I did a dining room. That was a couple years ago, or maybe just last year. I can't keep track of time, but I know at the time I thought I'd end up doing more of these, like have a series where once in a while I do a video, do a different room. Still want to do it, but just haven't gotten around to it. Videos like that definitely take a lot more time, so I feel like I'd have to be caught up with everything else and maybe a couple videos ahead before I'd be able to do one. So I guess that's why I don't. It's not that I wouldn't want to, but hopefully someday I'll be able to do another one like that. I think that would be fun. And in case you missed it, it was where I took $100 and went to buy furniture and decorations for a room. That was kind of my challenge. So I think now it would be a lot of fun, because there's garage sales, and it would be more feasible maybe to do it now. And the bottom comment from this video is Kathy saying, your neighbor might be sorry. I think she's referring to the fact that I got the furniture from my neighbor. They didn't want it anymore, and then after it was redone, of course, it looked different. And I did send them a picture of it and said, hey, it's yours if you want it, because sometimes I'll do that and just give it back, if I redo a piece. And they thought it was nice, they liked it, but they don't have room for it. Like, they're actually moving to a smaller space, so I kind of understood that they wouldn't have space for it, even though it's a nice small little stand. But I'm kind of debating, like, do I want to keep it for our cottages that we're building, or do I want to sell it in my booth at the antique mall? Not quite sure, but at this point it's still in storage. The next questions are the backyard cleanup. It was that sponsor video where the company called Sunday sponsored the video. And I should show you guys the backyard. It's so green and thick. I'm just really impressed with it. I think definitely the product that I put on there is helping. Like, I feel it's nicer than it usually is, so I'm excited to do the next treatment. The first question is Janet Akey saying, "Hi Mary and MB, I love watching all you do on here. My sister got me hooked last year." Well, thanks for that. I appreciate it. "Have you considered getting a power washer? It would make your decks look like fresh new wood without any scrubbing." I know, I've thought about that. In fact, my sister Marlene and her family, they have a power washer, and I'm sure they would gladly let us use it. I should do that because we have a lot of that green kind of from the trees stuff on our boards. But I also know you have to kind of watch so you don't take off the stain, like the actual finish. So I'll have to think about that. I know it would freshen things up, and then our siding just looks awful. We have tried the pressure washer on our siding and it doesn't take that green stuff off. I think what happened is the siding is so old. It's a vinyl siding, but it's probably, oh, I don't know, would it be almost 30 years old maybe? And it's really brittle and not like shiny anymore. It's like a really matte, brittle siding. And it seems that green stuff just hangs onto there, like you can't really get it off. Like I've mentioned before, we're thinking of re-siding our house eventually, and then sometimes if I start scrubbing, I'm like, I'm not even going to bother if we'll probably change it in the next couple years, hopefully. It'll just have to look this way until then. Melissa says, "How did the refurbish on your pond turn out?" Just this morning I was thinking I need to give you guys an update on that because I know some of you might be following it, or I wanted to do another video maybe sometime, or stick it in a day in the life or somewhere where I treat the pond again, and it has to be like 50 degrees or higher to do that. So of course I think it hasn't reached that at this point, but hopefully soon. But yeah, our pond is so much healthier since we use the Pond Guy products, and then also we have the aerator system going. And definitely improve the health of the pond. Now, we did have a time last summer, I was pretty horrified actually. We had this weird brown greenish growth like all over the pond. It wasn't algae or anything that we were familiar with. I actually ended up contacting the pond guy, sent them pictures of it just to see what they'd think. And now I'm trying to think what they called it. I know they had a name for it, but there was really nothing we could do about it. It just took time to kind of have its cycle or whatever, and then it disappeared. I think it was maybe because it didn't rain for a while, it just kind of sat there stagnant, and it looked awful. I just hated the look of it. But as far as the muck away tablets we've been using, I just feel like our pond has more depth to it than it did at one point. I think it's definitely working. The pond is something where we always talk about it, someday we'd want to kind of re-dig it out. Like, we get so much leaves and debris in there, it actually, you lose some of the depth of your pond if you live in the woods like this. So hopefully someday we'll be able to maybe improve it to a different level. But for now, I think those products, work fine. And I always feel like the fish are probably so happy in there with all the extra air bubbles and oxygen. Karen Reed says, "Can I ask what product you use to clean your outdoor furniture with?" Often when I clean furniture on the outside or porches or anything, I'll use Zep, I think it's called. It's just from Menards or Lowe's or somewhere. It comes in a big jug and it smells, I kind of like the smell of it, kind of like a pine sol smell almost. And the reason I use that or Mr. Clean, I know those are really strong, soaps, but I don't usually use my hands in that. Like, I just use a brush and scrub things and then hose it down. And I realize it's still probably not the best product to use, but it does get the job done. Now, I have another one, and I'll try to throw a picture of it on the screen, that I'm starting to like. It's more of a healthier soap to use, and I think it does a pretty good job too. I wanted to test it this spring on the porches and the deck railings and some of the furniture just to see if it would do a good job. If it does, I'll probably switch over to that one. I like the smell of it also, and I know it's not as harsh. Jan says, "I love to see your dad's old cars. We have a 31 Chevy. Wow, that sounds fun. Love to take it to shows. I also love your green boots. Can you tell me where you purchased them?" Yeah, I actually have a link in my description box. They're from the company that's called Mary Boots. I think I'm saying that name right. I haven't looked at it in a while, but they had sent me a pair, and they're actually the color, almost one of my favorite colors. I like green, but it's kind of this color too. And they're just, they're easy to slip into. Now, the ones I have are just a tad tight. I think if I were to get another pair, I'd probably go up a size, but I like them as far as they're waterproof and comfortable. Perfect boots to garden in, especially if you have like a wet morning or if you're out, using a hose or something. Sarah McNutt says, love the car. Does your dad enter his cars in the 50s fling in Sugar Creek? We always went to that growing up. I love the rocking chair. Well, thanks for all that, and I'll pass that on to Dad. But yeah, he definitely takes his cars to the 50s fling. I think he had several of them there already, and we're usually there. Like sometime I always like to walk through when the 50s fling is going on. And for those of you that don't know, it's in Sugar Creek, Ohio, and it's every spring, I want to say, maybe June, around June or somewhere, last of May, June. So it should be coming up soon here. Robin is asking, do Pebbles and Twinkle know their names in English, or are their names actually in Pennsylvania Dutch? They are in English. They're, Pebbles and Twinkle. Now the things I say to them are in Pennsylvania Dutch, like I'll speak that language to them. And it's amazing how they understand. Like I'm pretty sure they know if I say Vitnaski, that means do you want to go out? They'll walk to the door. Like they know what some of the little phrases mean, especially the ones we say, all the time. The bottom comment from that video is Kathy Mitchell saying, getting too many advertisers on your site. I did the Sunday sponsorship in that video. I don't do a lot of sponsorships though, and I'm not defending myself here at all. Like I understand not everybody's going to feel the same way, but I usually, if I do promote something, it's something I actually like or have a passion for. I know I've said that before, but I wouldn't ever advertise just any little thing just to have a sponsored video. I don't want to start doing that. And the next questions are from the Trash to Treasure video, I believe. Amy Hoff says, love the terrarium. What a great idea. I never would have thought of that. Well, thank you. And the clock looks so romantic. Will you give it to the newlyweds? I did tell Emily she can have it. I'm not sure what she decided then. I know at the time she had kind of finished decorating, so I'm not sure, does she have the space for it or not, but I'm definitely going to give it to her because the roses inside are from their wedding, and I thought it would be really fitting for them to have it. Doris Miller says, wonder how that door would have looked painted green like your bathroom cabinets. I was in your area last week, visited the Peddler and some of the thrift stores you share. Yeah, that door, I debated to paint it. Like I think that really would have made the wrought iron pieces pop. Because as I was putting it together, I thought they don't really show up as much as I would have liked them to. Now, it did help to paint them black. I think that kind of contrasted it a bit more. But I think that would have been a good idea, and that green is one of my favorite greens. I would have loved to see that together. And then as far as visiting the Peddler and other thrift stores in the area, that always makes me happy. I feel like we have some really good thrift stores, and I'm glad you guys enjoy them too. And while we're on the subject of the Peddler, I wanted to give you guys an update. As many of you know, I had a product line going on with them last year where they sold products in their store and then on their website, products that I came up with. And I kind of came to the point where, well, first of all, we're so busy with everything that's going on, I needed to cut some things out, and I guess that was one of them. I kind of ended that partnership, and I guess my thing, I'll just be honest here, it wasn't anything against the Peddler. In fact, if you're ever in the area, make sure to visit their store. They have amazing products in there. My thing was more, if I put time and energy into new products, I want to sell them on my Etsy shop and have them as my own. I guess it's just one of those learning things as you go about. With a business like this, I have no education or anything to do the things that I'm doing. I'm just winging it often, and as with anything like that, you're going to kind of learn as you go, and that's where I'm at right now. So I did end that, and while we're on the subject of change, I wanted to quickly update you on my booth at the Walnut Creek Antique Mall. I think I had mentioned earlier this year that I have a girl helping me to keep it stocked. Like that was a big problem for me. I was too busy and I wasn't able to keep things in there, and I hated to send people to my booth and then it was half empty. So I got Katie she's in her spare time, she is redoing furniture and other, home decorating items and helping me to keep it stocked. So now we came to the point where she actually was putting more in there than I was, so it's now officially her booth. But I still have my finger in there just a little bit where I'm able to add pieces of furniture or trash to treasure items that I redo. I'll still be able to add them to her booth. So I still have items in the Walnut Creek Antique Mall in the same booth, but it's really officially not my booth anymore, but hopefully that makes sense. And Katie does an amazing job with redoing furniture and other, home decorating items. I'm sure you won't be disappointed. In fact, it's a lot more interesting than it was at one point when it was just me trying to manage everything. So wanted to update you guys on that. And that mall has been one of my favorite antique malls in our area. I'm sure if you go in there, you won't be disappointed. They have so many interesting things. Jane says, do you think you will ever replace the white sink fountain on your porch? As long as it's still works. I probably won't. I love that look. I did see there's a large hole kind of broken out of it. I haven't even tried to fix it. I think I'll be able to glue it back in, but as long as it holds water and works, I'll probably use it. Linda Fraser asked, how are the cabins coming? I have been itching to give you guys a cottage update, and I want to soon, but right now the drywall is hung and they're almost finished. Like, they have to do that sanding part yet. I think Wednesday they plan to finish, so I'm really excited about that. And I told John, I wonder if some of the reason that I'm not really giving you guys an update is maybe due to the fact that I hate the color they are right now. Like, we put a wooden siding on them, so it needs to be painted. And the wood that's on there it's like a pressed, I think it's called smart board or something like that. And it needs to be painted. It is primed, but not, painted. And of course they're going to be painted white. You probably expect nothing else, white cottages, but the color is kind of I'll try to throw a picture on the screen so you guys see if you guys agree with me, but I think it's just not really a nice color. It's kind of putty, or it's not my favorite color. And I told John, I think I almost liked them better when they were green. Like, before that siding was on there, they were green, and I think they almost looked more charming then, but that's beside the point. I should still give you guys an update, and I will soon. John is over there working today. We've been working on staining the beams. We have some high ceilings in there where there's some exposed beams, and a lot of work, but it'll be worth it. I'm really, really excited. Feel so blessed to be able to do this. Like, we still pinch ourselves that this is actually happening. It's like a dream come true. Like, I still don't even know why we are getting to even do this. Like, I feel unworthy, but it's definitely a lot of fun. We're excited. And the bottom comment from this video is Betty Fike, not sure how to pronounce that, Johnson, saying, I noticed your home is almost void of color as well as your clothing. Is this because of your Amish background? Absolutely not. In fact, a lot of the Amish people I know wear bright colors and cheerful, fabric that they buy, and they make their own dresses. And then as far as their houses, I would say vibrant, every color in there. Some of them you could think of, which is fine. Everybody has their different. I couldn't have that in my house. Like, I like the whites and the neutral, not too busy. And we're definitely all different in that regard as far as what we want to see in our homes. It's almost like we're able to bring out our inner selves and how we decorate and how our homes are fixed up. I think that's awesome. And then as far as my dress, I guess I didn't really think about that. I'm pretty sure I dressed in brighter colors when I was Amish than I do now. So this is definitely not because of my Amish background that I enjoy wearing neutral colored skirts. Like, I think it's easier to pair shirts and skirts if my skirt is, black or gray or dark blue. I like to stay with maybe more drab colors down here, like gray, black, blue. And then my shirts, I like to be maybe seasonal or whatever I'm in the mood for. And the last questions are from the Mother's Day photo booth video from last week. Norm Standfast says, what product do you use for your peony and rose fragrance? Smells so good. I should have linked it down below, or maybe I did. It was from Bulk Apothecary. And I'll put that link down below in the description box because I get a lot of my products from them. I'm really impressed with that company. And the nice thing for us here is we can actually go up there to pick it up. They're about an hour and a half from us. It's Aurora, Ohio. They might have other branches elsewhere, but they have a branch there. So I'm able to place my order and get that free shipping, and John willingly goes up there. He actually enjoys driving up there to get my things, so I'm really blessed in that regard. Susie Fish says, a quick question, do you have pavements alongside the roads so you can go for walks? No, we don't. We have, in fact, I remember when our road was just a gravel road. Like, growing up, it was always dusty and just a good old back road. I kind of miss those days sometimes, but now there's chip and seal on it, and it is a little wider than it used to be. Like, sometimes I feel a little unsafe with how people drive, but usually I feel safe, just walking alongside the road, and people are usually respectful and give you space. Sarah Breen says, any chance more Mother's Day soap? It was gone in a matter of minutes. Oh, I apologize. I always feel bad then if people don't get soap that they really want or other products, but it's a good problem to have, I guess, on my end. I always feel so blessed when all these orders come in, and it's so much fun, but I'm glad I was able to get that soap into you guys' hands, and thanks for all the orders. I appreciate that too. I hope you enjoy, or your mom enjoys the soap, but I'm not planning on making more at this point. I wish Mother's Day is coming up fast here, and soap needs, 4 to 6 weeks to cure, so that would be impossible, but the scents I like the scents well enough. I would consider doing more soap in those scents, especially the strawberry lemon one. I definitely should check into that, maybe doing a summer soap like that. Sand Woolbud says, where is Pebbles? Haven't seen her lately. Well, I guess you got to see her a little today. I'm not sure where she's at now. I figured she'd come back up here and sit on my lap, but she enjoys the outside since we started to get nicer weather. She's kind of like me. She likes warmer weather. And I normally don't ever, stage her as far as if I'm shooting a video, I won't carry her in front of the camera just so she'd be on there. It's just kind of how it happens. Like some videos you're going to see a lot of her, and then others nothing at all. So I guess maybe recently she just hasn't really showed up when I was filming. Buffy V says, Mary, why? I love watching your channel, but I cannot express how disappointed I was after visiting your Etsy shop today to make a purchase. And while scrolling through, finding a politically themed item for sale, knowing how politics is continuing to cause division and so many problems in our country, why can't you allow the craft world of beautiful things to remain a neutral space? Yeah, I think a lot of people don't really understand how Etsy works. Like if you search for a product, maybe even one of my products, other people's products are going to come up too. Like I'm not the only person on Etsy. Other sellers' products are going to show up unless you go on my shop. Just on my shop, you'll just see my products. But if you just go on Etsy, you're going to see other people's too. And to be honest, I have been shocked myself sometimes when I search for something, like some of the things that come up. Like I've gotten messages before how people were just so disappointed. They couldn't believe I'd have this vulgar stuff on my shop. And I would never, like that. I just can't believe Etsy even allows that. And it's just, yeah, it's horrifying. It just kind of fits to things that are going on in our world right now. And I'm not quite sure about this, but I think if you even scroll all the way to the bottom of someone's shop, like you just saw all of their products, and then scroll to the bottom, it might make some suggestions of other sellers with similar products, and there you're going to see some other things that don't match up with maybe the shop that you're on. It's really frustrating and sad. Yeah, I definitely don't have any politically themed items on my shop, so you must have seen someone else's. And the bottom comment from that video is Julie Johnson saying, another commercial. I'll go ahead and throw the comment that was underneath that one onto the screen because I so appreciated what Cricket said. She could not have said it better. It's sometimes easier to just let someone else say it. So I think that concludes today's video. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. As always, I hope you're having a great day and enjoying the spring season we're in, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.